If there's one thing Tesla likes making more than cars, it's promises. And some of those promises come true, even if a bit late. Some of them actually happen on time. We will be talking about those as well. But what we won't be talking about is the madness and insanity. No, I kid. Those will definitely be part of this. They must. What we're going to talk about is the 20 million cars per year target. What happened to it? Does it matter? And could we get back there? That means, of course, I've got to bring on another fellow crazy person. Randy Kirk is here live from, I assume, the break room at a mental institution. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Ozza.
It could be an old age home.
It could be. I just figured you got, good behavior time. Like, we'll let him sit in the study.
Right under the new book, Brian, right under the new book where you are an Amazon #1 bestseller.
Yeah, it's exciting. I spent the whole first day that I learned that I was an Amazon #1 bestseller in 3 categories, along with you and Brian Wong and the Gibbs twins, so many others, that I had to go around reminding myself not to tell people because
I see. Okay,
because it's very cool. It's very exciting. Add that honorific to my name.
that's right.
But you know what's not honorable at all is making a promise for not 1 year, but a couple years, and then not delivering. Tesla drops delivery report of 20 million vehicles in a year from its latest report. This is back in 24. It was only for about 3 years that they had suggested this. Prior to that, all of us suggested it by extrapolating what could be done. My first question is, was that goal ever realistic, and did it matter?
I believed it was realistic. Like you said, I spent many hours over a spreadsheet trying to determine how that would work. And it was only going to be a little over 20% of national shipments. And, we had every reason to believe that we could maintain that kind of percentage of the market. So I certainly had it figured out. I figured, how many factories was going to take. Anyway, yes, the answer is, yeah, I thought 20 million could be done.
I saw your models. They looked not too different from mine and those of others. I was saying you'd have to finish Austin and Berlin and then max them out, expand them in an additional phase on other parts of the property, but also there would need to be 2 whole extra factories at a minimum, creating something in tremendous volume, like the compact is what we were thinking. And it was probably, I'd say 2.5 years ago, I started ringing the alarm bell saying, it's not going to happen, because Mexico had been announced, but there was no movement. I said, if there's no movement, it's done. It's over, because it takes time to get the ramp going. You're not going to go from 0 to 100. And I would also say that Cybercab's not going to get us there, because that would be, what are we going to add? 18 million robotaxis a year, cybercabs a year? I would argue that's the wrong number. That is a number that's too large globally. Randy, what do you think the ideal number, maximum number of cybercabs would be?
Well, the current level of sales worldwide for normal vehicles is about 70 to 80 million. Every robotaxi is going to take 7 of those cars off the road. Okay. So now you're down to 10 million total that you need to sell in order to make all the cars you need to solve the car. Now, will there be a push forward? Will people say, well, I need more robotaxis than that because I want my robotaxi? That's possible, but I'm not counting on that. So I think the grand total of all the cars you're going to need is going to be 10 million. Now, will that happen the first year? No. Will that happen the second year? Well, yeah. No. So Tesla, again, I'm saying maybe a little more than 25% share, maybe 50% share, because the technology is going to have a moat around it. So somewhere between 3 and 5 million robotaxis a year, I think would be absolutely fine.
There are people who will still collect cars. There are people who will buy a Robotaxi and kind of never use it, mostly leave it in their own garage, polished up, sitting next to all their other toys. But I would agree with you that that is a small percentage of the market. There are going to be communities that will buy one that do not replace 7 cars, that
Mhm.
might replace 1 or 2 cars. For example, a homeowners association, a retirement community, a church. A church might have a handful that they seldom let out of the parishioners' control. These drive Gladys around on Wednesdays. These help pick up people for the food drive and bingo night and bring them to church on Sundays. Those would not necessarily be replacing a lot of cars, but what they might be doing is you might get 7 cybercabs sold in lieu of 1 shuttle bus. So that would actually be more units. It would be interesting to see at that point. Your biggest ongoing expense might be your registration, your tabs. So that would be interesting. Do you think there is a roadmap that could get Tesla back to a 20 million target?
No.
No.
Well, okay. The roadmap would be that there are 2 billion cars in the world. Okay. And 2 billion cars, if you divide that by, let's say, we won't even use 7 because it's so much harder. We'll use 5. so you need so you need to replace 400 million of those cars. So over time, you need 400 million. Well, if there is at some point, I think there will be this kind of dramatic push forward where people are like, no, we need them and we need them now. So I could see it maybe, I don't know, to 20 million, but we could be going to 5 or 10 million a year, depending on what other manufacturers are able to do to fill the void. But there's going to be a tipping point, like there was with the smartphone. There'll be a tipping point, like there has been with other technology like this, and that tipping point, could create a dramatic increase in demand. Then, of course, there's replacement. So at some point, 5, 6, 7 years from now, you're going to start replacing the threes and the Ys that are used up. Then another few years, you could be replacing some of the the cybercabs that are used up. So there's going to, at some point, you're going to need to replace whatever that fleet is.
What I would point out in terms of this, when high efficiency LED bulbs first came to the market, they were pretty pricey. And what homeowners would do is when a bulb burnt out, then they would replace it with an LED bulb until the LED bulbs got down to probably $2, $3 a pop. When you saw a lot of people just removing bulbs that were perfectly good and replacing them with these ones, because these ones are so much cheaper, it doesn't make sense to keep using it the old way.
Right.
And then when they got down to the point where they were being sold at the dollar store, then kind of everyone got on board. Everyone swapped out. We didn't have to wait for all the old bulbs to die to replace them. Uh, that is an extreme example, but I would argue Cybercab is a pretty extreme example. At the end of this show, Randy, I'm going to ask you a question, and that question is going to be, what kind of music do you listen to? Don't answer now, because in the comments, folks, I want you to guess what his answers are going to be. And let's have some fun with it, because if you want to put in a real answer and a fake answer, my fake answer would be albums of Halloween sound effects. That's just what I'm going with. Not even set to a beat. It just gives him joy. But we'll get to that at the end of the show. Um, do you see anyone else outside of China with the potential to catch up in the cybercab game?
Well, at some point, somebody's going to go. One of two things is going to happen. Somebody else is going to have a satisfactory FSD. They're going to have a good enough FSD to pass muster and be able to have cybercabs out there. I don't know whether that'll be Waymo or whether that'll be one of the Chinese companies or both. And there's all kinds of possibilities there. But they might be good enough, but then are they too expensive? Can they compete? That's the other question. I think both of those things will happen over time, or it will happen again that there's so much demand that being good enough will be good enough. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, I think that the bigger makers are going to go, look, we're going to be they're finally going to get it at some point that they're going to be out of business. if they don't start making a lot of fully autonomous vehicles, mostly to be used as robotaxis. So yeah, I think there will be not only competition, I think it'll be blessed competition because it'll be needed in terms of making enough for the market.
I can agree with all that. In China, there's a lot of pretty serious competition. There's a lot of aggressive competition. What's less clear is how welcome those models, those units, that technology would be in the rest of the Western world because of privacy and security concerns. But for China itself, for countries, third countries that are not the US or China or, developing countries, those would be very attractive. In the US, what I'm seeing is Waymo close to a solution? They believe so, but they've believed so for 15 years. Maybe they really are, but it doesn't matter because you can't buy one and they cost 3, 4 times what a cybercab will. That doesn't that doesn't help me. I can't have one. I can't. I it's you can't. It must be happiness because you can't buy it. So that's in the U.S. The other thing we've got is Nvidia. They are selling all the pickaxes and shovels that you need to go out and prospect for gold. We don't have a map to the gold. You have to make the map. But this will allow you to gather data and to understand the world. All you have to do is get an amount of data that so far only Tesla has collected. BYD and Huawei are catching up, but they won't give it to you and they won't sell it to you because it's theirs. Can any of these companies taking the NVIDIA approach solve it in the next 3 years and then get a product to market 3 years after that?
Yeah, I think so, and not necessarily because it's Nvidia. I think again, look. We saw what happened to newspapers. We saw what happened to digital camera manufacturers. These people, they watch it happen before their eyes and they don't respond, and it blows my mind every time that they're just like, okay, Sears, oh, yeah, it used to be number one in the world. We'll sell it for the value of the property. um, it drives me crazy. So I don't know. I'm assuming that one or more car companies, and maybe it won't be existing car companies, maybe it'll be a new car company that will say, "Oh, somebody needs to make another cyber cab. Somebody needs to make the thing, which is $16,000 out the door. It cost, and they'll start making that, and maybe they'll even license with Tesla to do it. So yeah, I don't know whether it'll be one of the existing or whether it will be a third company, but I do believe there will be other makers.
Super, super crazy. These are weird times we're living in, Randy Kirk. Weird times. Hey, Randy, what's your favorite music? What kind of stuff do you listen to? You get in the car, you pop on some tunes. What is it?
Do I have to pick one? Because I
No,
alternate. I
no,
alternate. Okay.
absolutely. Share it
So,
all.
so my era, right? Rock, from the 60s, 50s, 60s, and
Oh, I would have guessed Lawrence Welk.
so Cream and Queen. Those are some of my top favorites from that. But there's lots of them. There's Johnny Mathis also. Anyway, Barbara Streisand, although she's not quite rock. Okay, that's number one. Number two, not number two. Well, okay, classic for sure. Love to go to the concerts and I played quite a number of instruments and sing. So I love classical music, jazz, and then finally show tunes. I'm a huge fan. If I had been able to use my voice, if I'd been 30% better, and if I could act, I might have been able to. I had visions in my head of possibly being, but that would have been the kind of voice I had, the kind of voice that is in the show, the what musicals.
Hello, Dolly.
Hello Dolly, and I think my high school might have been planning to do Hello Dolly when I left town, and I think I thought
Mm.
it was either that or Auntie Mame, and I missed out on that particular show.
And so as you departed, they said bye bye, Birdie.
That's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, did you get it? Did you get the comments right? The question right in the comments? I I didn't really have an answer. I was going to go shirt based. I was going to say, some tiny bubbles. Yeah. Guys, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Leave it. What do you think of all of our crazy thoughts on 20 million units? Yes, we're not pretending that this target has been abandoned. It has. Greater shift to a different product. This kind of makes sense. I get it. What do you think of that? Let me know. Videos where I try and make you smarter. The comments is where I hope you can make me smarter. Everybody else, stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots in the comments section on Randy's page. I'm over there twice a week. Check him out.